Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, dear venerable brother, dear friends in Dhamma. So we were discussing Vatthupama Sutta. So this is the 7th Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya, where Buddha explained about subtle defilements. So basically there are 3 connotations we can say with respect to the 3 meanings we can say with respect to the term Upakkilesa. So in the previous sutta, in the Upakkilesa Sutta, they were very much the hindrances, certain hidden situations, reasons for the samadhi to obstruct, for the samadhi to get troubled, disturbed. And here again another situation is where the upakkilesas, imperfections can become hindrances or kind of obstacles for vipassana. Then we are calling them as vipassana upakkilesa. And then the other third meaning is what actually we are discussing here in this Vatthupama Sutta, where they become very subtle shades or nuances of the very basic 3 defilements, raga, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, delusion. So when greed, hatred, delusion are considered as the very bottom or the root of the unwholesome defilements, so these other defilements can be considered as they are shades. There are subtle differences. So there are subtle say manifestations in one's mind. So in that respect, so Buddha explained around 16 defilements here, imperfections here, and we were going through one by one. And important thing is how to overcome them is actually depends. So at the beginning, one may overcome them using maybe sila. For example, if one is careful about one's words, one is careful about different laws, regulations established in a particular, say, institution, in a particular country. So to some extent, one is being protected because the precepts are there, the observances are there. So one has to adhere to them, and even though certain defilements are popping up in one's mind, he can't behave according to them because certain rules and regulations are available. So then in a way, this sila, the morality, the code of conduct, actually helps to sort of avoid these transgressions coming through the defilements. But on the other hand, that is not the permanent solution. That is where only people are abiding by that law when the law is established. But there's another level, that is the samatha kind of approach, where one is trying to calm down one's mind, develop certain qualities which are helping to counteract with the defilements, so that one's mind become calm, serene, and temporarily the defilements are subsided. So that is what we call samadhi, the concentration practices, jhana. So all those actually helps to temporarily calm down these defilements, so that the positive qualities are available in the mind or temporarily uplifted in the mind. But the problem is that once those good qualities are again subsided or they become weaker, again those defilements starts coming up, starts growing up, then again you are in trouble where you can't maintain that serenity. You can't maintain that purity in the mind. Now the third approach is with respect to the vipassana, where one is developing certain amount of qualities, say mindfulness, concentration, and using which actually one is recognizing the true nature of various phenomena. As a result of that, one is developing fair amount of wisdom, and now one is having some insight knowledge. Mindfulness and insight knowledge are helping now to confront defilements directly. So that is the approach taken in the Satipatthana, where one is developing through Kayanupassana and Vedananupassana. One reaches Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana, where you are capable of confronting defilements face to face. At that time you are capable and you can recognize these defilements as defilements. You are looking at them objectively. As a result of that, you are much capable of handling them. And you are capable not at its say latter stage, but even at very early stage, you are capable of recognizing defilements. So that is the main advantage, because the other options are basically there to replace the defilements, or just to temporarily subside defilements, overcome defilements temporarily. But here you know how a particular defilement arises, how it is behaving, what may be the reasons, and all those investigations are possible when one is capable in the mindfulness practice, in the vipassana practice, because one has a kind of a proper ground. One recognizes through the practice that a kind of a mental state or mind state which is completely free from defilements, completely free from attachments, graspings. Now one can use that as a kind of a refuge for one's mind. So it is not only through vipassana that one can gain, even through samatha you can gain that freedom of mind. And then you need to turn to vipassana. So for example, if one practices loving kindness, one can develop loving kindness to such an extent where the complete freedom of mind can happen. And then we call it as metta ceto vimutti. And one can then use that as a kind of a foundation, as a kind of a ground for further development of vipassana. Now, on the other hand, if we consider the satipatthana practice, one is developing from the scratch, from the beginning, a kind of a perspective how one can objectively look at in a particular situation. Some kind of an experience how one can objectively look at. So this is a training that one is slowly developing as one continues in satipatthana practice. And later, when one's mind is occupied with lust, rather than considering it as my lust, or I am lustful, or my mind is lustful, or something like that, you can simply detach from it and look at it as simply lust. Lust has arisen, lust is say available, and now say it is slowly dissipating or removing or decreasing. Similarly, anger is available, anger is say decreasing, anger has simply vanished, simply disappeared. So likewise, you can look at various kinds of defilements objectively. So that would be the common approach one can have in the satipatthana practice. But it doesn't mean that all the other methods are invalid. Many other methods are necessary and also give a significant support to this process. Say for example, if one is maintaining sense restraint, so that has a significant influence. Say if you are maintaining very good sila, it has a significant influence. And again samadhi, say your mind you are trying to maintain as much as collected, it has a significant influence. Now, so all these different methods are there, and you know in the Sabbasava Sutta there are 7 methods Buddha highlighted. So likewise there are many methods available, and here actually we have given some emphasis onto the meditation, satipatthana, and how one can look at defilement as a defilement, and maybe at its early stage, and as a result of that one does not become a victim of that very defilement. Actually so far we discussed already several defilements, and let me go through that list so that we are able to understand some more defilements. Actually we already discussed about let me see. We already discussed around 8 defilements. 8 defilements we have already discussed. Now we are going to the 9. So 8 basically abhijja, so that is the kind of unrighteous covetousness. So that is one defilement. And then we discuss about vyapada, the ill will, and then Koda, that is anger, then Upanaha, that is the resentment, where you are having kind of repeatedly maintaining some sort of a grudge about a particular person, then we call it as resentment, or in Pali it is called Upanaha. Then we discussed about Makka and Palasa. Makka is the defilement where one is looking down or devaluing one's help. Say if someone has done something good to you and something that you have really benefited from that, but later you feel you are not having any gratitude towards that. So you are devaluing it, you are maybe even neglecting that. So you are condemning what has done, but not giving the proper value, not appreciating it. So then it is called Makka. The Palasa is some closer, where you are devaluing someone else's good qualities. You very well understand, okay, there are these good qualities are there in a particular person, but the mind does not allow you to appreciate it. Rather, you start devaluing those good qualities. So that is called Palasa. And then we discussed about Issa and Maccariya. Issa is the envy or jealousy. Maccariya is the avarice, where you are not happy to share what you have. You may have certain things, maybe resources, very say wealth or whatever, but you are not ready or you are not happy to share it with someone else. Even someone is using it, say you feel a little uncomfortable by seeing it. So then it is called Maccariya. Now we can get into the other ones. And another two is called Maya and Sateya. Maya is, we can translate it as deceit, where you are hiding something, say bad in you. Say you may have certain shortcomings, you may have done something wrong, but you are not ready to reveal it, you are not ready to expose it. Rather, you are showing that you are not having that bad quality. So that is called Maya or deceit. Say for example, you are having a kind of attitude of getting angry, but you show like you are with a very pleasant smile and all this way. So you are trying to pretend that you are not having that kind of bad quality. And some similar, another defilement is what we call as Sateya, where you are quite cunning and fraud, where you are even showing something you don't have. Say you don't have any particular kind of a generosity, but you are trying to show that you are quite a generous person. You may use very beautiful words, you may use various cunning methods to show that you are kind of a generous person, but you are not, really you are not. Say if someone is coming and asking something from you, then you may have 1,000 excuses to avoid that even though you show that you are a kind of a generous person. Similarly, if suppose you are not maintaining good conduct, good morality, but you show that you are a moral person. So likewise, the Maya and Sateya, deceit and the fraud go hand in hand somewhat, where you are trying to avoid showing your bad qualities, showing your shortcomings, and on the other hand you are trying to show certain qualities that you really don't have. Maya and Sateya. Actually, these defilements that we have discussed so far, the first actually the anger, ill will, anger, resentment, actually they plus pamada as the last one, what we call the negligence, are very much like attributed to the anagamis, who are able to completely free from these defilements. On the other hand, Makka, Palasa, Issa, Machariya, Maya, Sateya. Makka, Palasa. Makka means contempt, and then Palasa means you are having kind of insolence. Then Issa, that is the jealousy, and then Machariya, the avarice, Maya, deceit, Sateya, then the fraud. So these defilements, altogether there are 6 defilements, and it is said these are being removed when one attains Sotapanna. So you can see, so these defilements have a significant connection with the attainments. So in a way, when one attains, then only one can say completely this particular defilement has uprooted. Till that, it is only simply subsided or maybe weakened. There may be a possibility that again it can become stronger, where you can't give any guarantee. But if one attain, say Sotapanna, if one becomes a Sotapanna, then it is very much like you are not doing any kind of deceit or kind of a fraud. Rather, you become kind of a true to type person, where you show yourself, or show you are revealing your true nature. You are not hiding yourself. Very much like you don't have double standard. You don't have kind of a duality in your character. If something is wrong, if you have done something, some kind of a mistake due to some reason, now you are not hiding it. You are not showing that you are a good person. Rather, you show it. You simply reveal, expose that mistake you have done. Say, for example, in the monk's life, so there is something called apati desana. You are confessing what you have done. If some mistake has happened, you have to approach another monk, and then with due respect, you are telling him due to some reason, so I have done this mistake. And then the other monk will admonish, okay, you have acknowledged your fault, now better avoid that in the future. So he may advise. So likewise, it's a formal practice available for monks, where they do the confession whenever some mistake has happened. So they have to expose that. So similarly, say even in the lay life, so rather than hiding things, when some mistake has happened, one can approach a Kalyana Mitra, a good person, and reveal that. So it becomes a kind of a purification in one's mind. Rather than trying to hide, rather than trying to show that you are a good person, if one is exposing one's defilements, or if one is exposing one's shortcomings, so then you become more honest person, very much ground to earth. So you admit that still you have something to develop. You are not an arahant. Rather, you still are imperfect. Certain imperfections are there. You are still working out about them. So likewise, very much like a real, true to type kind of character is there. So you are dealing with them. So you admit your shortcomings. That is a more preferred approach, and therefore it is attributed to a Sotapanna. If one is a Sotapanna, so he has that quality. He is not hiding anything. Particularly his mistakes, he is not hiding. So he, when time permits, he exposed that with the proper person, with a good person, and then probably get an advice and try to correct himself. And on the other hand, he doesn't have any kind of looking down someone else's good qualities, looking down someone else's say help that he has taken from someone, but instead he has a lot of gratitude towards another person when he being helped by someone. On the other hand, if someone else has good qualities, he start appreciating that rather than looking down them. So these are the very interesting human qualities that we are talking, and so those are very much attributed fairly established in a Sotapanna stream winner, where he doesn't look down someone else's good qualities, or does not look down the benefit or help he has taken from someone else. Similarly, Issa and Machariya. So he doesn't have any envy, jealousy towards someone, and again he is not entertaining any kind of avarice. Rather, he has become kind of a generous, open person, open-handed, so ready to share things with someone, and ready to share maybe the knowledge, ready to share whatever the other resources, and again not jealous with someone. So if someone has a particular, say, wealth or something, so probably he can appreciate that. So likewise, these are very interesting good qualities that one is developing. Opposite to the defilements, opposite to the imperfections, now one's mind becomes somewhat perfect in a way. And then we can get into some more defilements. So Buddha mentioned Thambo and Sarambo. Thamba and Saramba. So Thamba, we can, it is translated as obstinacy. Thamba is translated as obstinacy, where one's mind is quite inflexible, quite rigid, and one's mind is fairly stiff and is not ready to change. So a lot of fixations are there. So one is not ready to change one's maybe idea, maybe the behavior, maybe one's belief. So this is because of the thamba, what we call as the obstinacy. So you are obstinate with something. So you are very strongly attached to that. You are strongly holding that. It may be a view, maybe. Say you are thinking on a particular subject and you believe that strongly. And when someone comes and factually shows that this is wrong, still you are not ready to change yourself. And again, you are not happy to listen to someone, and you have very rigid or inflexible kind of attitude, then you are not ready to listen to a Kalyana Mitta, to an elder, a good person, but you are very much like very proud even. Actually, that is considered as a separate defilement, we can later discuss. But here very much like the mind is quite rigid. The mind is inflexible. So that is called thamba. And the saramba is where you do tit for tat. Say someone has done something and you also do something else, even surpassing what the other person has done. So that is called saramba. Say for example, if someone simply say made a little comment, maybe a hint, maybe a few words, but you got really upset and you are talking, blaming, you are telling 10 things to get the kind of a revenge. So that is called saramba. You are doing kind of an opposite thing to overcome that person, to subside that person, and it's very much like a revenge. And the mind has that kind of a quality in the sense bad quality. So when something has happened, you are sort of thinking about it, proliferating about it, and trying to find out an opportunity to take a kind of a revenge. It is not exactly like the previous, what we have called like upanaha, where you are maintaining it for even for the next life, kind of a resentment. But here, very subtle quality. So always have the kind of a characteristic to do something opposite. Say for example, if someone has shown their colors, say someone has shown their ability, so probably you are also now maintaining kind of a mentality that you are now going to show even more than that, trying to show off more than that. Or someone has done a little bit of a mistake And now you are not admitting it as a mistake, but you are now trying to do more things against him. So that is very much what we are talking here as Sarambha. One interesting verse in Dhammapada completely talks about it. So it is mentioned as Sache neresi attanang kanso upahato yatha esa pattosi nibbānaṁ sārambho te na vijjati. Sache neresi attanam kanso upahato yatha. Now you know when we hit a bronze or kind of a metal vessel, say it's a ball, then it reverberates, then it echoes, then it produces another sound. Again and again it produces sounds. Then ultimately it fades off. So that's the nature of the ball, that's the nature of a metal vessel. When you hit it, it has the ability to echo another sound. But suppose it is completely broken, there's a crack in the ball, there's a crack in the metal vessel. Now if you hit it, so that echoing is not available, that reverberation doesn't happen, it simply absorbs the hit and simply calms down, that's it. There is no any kind of a second effect coming from that metal vessel. So Buddha mentioned, so if one's mind doesn't have sarambha, if one's mind doesn't have what you call this rivalry, then you simply absorb what the other person has done and that's it. You are not taking any kind of a second action against him. You are not attempting to outdo others. And you are not trying to surpass someone else's achievement even. So very much like you see it, you saw that, you receive what they have done, so that's it. It's finished. That's all. You're not holding anything against it. You're not holding any kind of a mentality that in one day I am going to surpass him. In one day I am going to take a revenge from him. I am not going to outdo another person. So that kind of a attitude is not available in one's mind. And interestingly, Buddha mentioned, then that person is like a person who has attained Nibbana. Sarambho te na vijjati. Esa pattosi nibbānaṁ sārambho tena vijjati. So then that person is very much like a person who has attained nibbana, because he simply cools, he simply calms, rather than react, rather than impulsively react, or rather than trying to outdo something, rather than taking kind of a rivalry. Simply he absorbs the thing and that's it, that's finished. There is no second attempt. Actually in our minds, so this is very subtle quality, and it can even change or it can even grow to the level of resentment. So the subtle level is, we can say, as the sarambha, which is very subtle quality, subtle defilement, and probably it can grow to the level of resentment. Then it is a very grave kind of a defilement, strong kind of a defilement. And then we come across another two defilements, imperfections, mana and atimana, conceit and arrogance. Now conceit, so this is actually three types we can commonly recognize. Conceit in respect to another person, when you feel that you are much better than him or you are more than him, what we call as seyamana. And probably you feel that you are quite equal to another person, then we call it as sadisamana. And again you may feel that you are below than him, then we call it as heenamana. So here actually we have to compare ourselves with another person. So this comparison is one prerequisite for mana to arise. So comparison, you are always feeling that you are an individual, you are a person, you are a man, you are a woman, and now you are attempting to compare with another person. How better I am, or how bad I am, how equal I am. am I doing much better than him? Do I have more good qualities? Do I have more wealth than another person? Do I have more skills than another person? So likewise, always comparing with another person. So this comparison actually leads to this conceit. So conceit can arise due to various reasons when we are going through in our life. So for example, if you are doing well in your studies, you become the first in the class, so you are being awarded for your performance, rewarded for your performance. Say likewise, suppose that you are good in your education, so probably it can be a reason for you to become proud, conceited. Say your parents are quite wealthy with respect to the other children's parents, probably you can become conceited as a result of that. Say you are good in sports, you are the winner, then you can become conceited. Say you can sing beautifully or dance beautifully in front of others, so others are not capable of doing that. So that skill can become a reason for you to become proud. Say now you are, say, particularly passed a certain competitive exam, but others are not. You have done really well in that particular exam, so it can be a reason to become proud. Say you have now admitted to the university and you are doing really well there, so it also can become a reason to be proud. Say you have acquired a very good job, kind of a good designation, and there are many others working under you, so it can become a reason for conceit. And suppose you are maintaining good morality, but others are quite immoral and you are not, you are quite moral, and now others also start praising you that you are a moral person. So if you are not handling it properly, so this morality, sila, also can become a reason to develop conceit. Suppose now you are developing samadhi, concentration, you have attained first jhana, second jhana, etc. But others are still struggling, they couldn't do it. So now probably this samadhi can become a reason for you to become proud. So you are practicing certain austere practices, you are maintaining really strong policies in your life. Say for example, you are in an office, but others are sometimes taking bribes, but you are not taking a bribe. So it's a good thing. But that can become a reason to be proud. You are developing a strong personality view, prepare a strong personality view with respect to that. So therefore we can see even certain good behaviors that we are maintaining, if you are not handling them properly, so those can even become a reason to be proud, reason to be conceited. Say, on the other hand, say when you are feeling that you are being neglected, you are not being respected, and the others are having the front seat, you are given the rear seat, and now you compare yourself differently. You feel quite down, you feel quite depressed, you feel that you are separate, you are being neglected. So as a result of that, so this is another way of comparing ourselves. You feel kind of self-destructive, neglected. So this is another way of having conceit, where you feel you are below than the others, you are being neglected. So this all happens when we are comparing ourselves with others. So this comparison, measurement, conceit, proud, so these are in a way very subtle again in our mind, and Buddha mentioned those can only be overcome when one attains arahantship. Till that we are sometimes having all these different kinds of defilements, But it doesn't mean that we should try our best to minimize this conceit. So basically we need to recognize these defilements and try to avoid being a victim of that defilement. So if one is quite proud and conceited, so he may behave like a kind of a person who is a real mess to the other person, real burden to the other person, because he is always trying to be bossy, trying to be the first person, trying to be the VIP, and look down the others. So this atimana is where not only you feel conceited, not only you feel you are the superior, but you start looking down the others, condemning the others. And that part is also there when it comes to atimana, what we call as arrogance, where you are not only being proud, but you basically look down the others. And this can even happen in our profession. Say you are a doctor. Say always others are coming asking your help. Say you become kind of a reputed professional, and then the others are coming, approaching you, and now you feel kind of proud because many others are benefiting from you and many others are expecting your appearance, expecting your help, and you feel more uplifted, you feel more privileged, and that can also become a reason to be proud. Suppose you being respected. Say you are a monk, you are a nun, you are a very respectful person, and the others are always coming and respecting, asking your advice, and you are preaching others, admonishing others. So then that also can become a reason to be proud, conceited. So therefore among monks there are many who have subjected to this defilement because it's very subtle, and we couldn't understand how it is slowly growing in one's mind, and you start feeling sort of conceited, going high and looking down others maybe. So likewise, depending on the profession, say you are a teacher, so always students are coming and asking questions from you, and you feel that you are the knowledgeable person, say you are the best person, always you are the ones giving solutions. So then again you can become conceited, and you may be the chief in a particular institution. You are the chairman, you are the chief. So others are always coming and asking you a comment, asking your approval, and without your approvals others can't do anything. So this is also can become a reason to be proud, conceited. So likewise, if we consider our life, there are many situations which can lead to be conceited, which can lead to be proud, and sometimes the society also encourage that, and society try to keep you in the pedestal, and they start venerating. But if we are not handling it properly, ultimately we start collapsing, we start being really upset when we are not giving due respect, and as a result of conceit you start expecting some kind of recognition. If it is not happening, then you feel really broken, you feel really uncomfortable. So therefore the conceit when arises in our mind, if we are capable of recognizing it, then actually we are not being a victim of that conceit. So conceit is something always going subtly available in our mind. So how we are as a person compare with another person. So that is why conceit has another very subtle meaning as asmimana. There is a feeling that I am. So I am a person, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a teacher, I am a monk. So this I am, the subtle conceit I am. So you can see when you feel quite uplifted because of your profession, because you are wealthy, because of your skill, so that is one level. But underneath there's a very subtle conceit, what we call as I am, asmimana. So with respect to that, we do all the measurements. I am here and you are there. I am preaching and you are listening. I am teaching and you are learning. So I am. So all these I am. So very subtle, and most of our thoughts, our thinking is based on that. It's very much like the center point of our full say measurements. So we are using I am as the root, as the center point of our all measurements. So with respect to that, we do all the measurements. So the subtle defilement I am, Asvimana, is only uprooted when one becomes an Arahant. So I think that is enough for today. So we have discussed several defilements today, and those you can see operating in ourselves. They are not in the book, but they are in our mind, and we need to recognize them as quickly as possible. Otherwise they may grow to a higher level, and ultimately we become a victim of those defilements. And it is not only that, not only ourselves, but the others also become sort of subject to suffering because of those defilements. So we need to understand the kind of consequences of these defilements, the danger of having these defilements. And we not only understand our own defilements, if we closely, carefully understand our own defilements, then we can even understand someone else's defilement. That's another part. So you can inferentially understand when someone is also subjected to a particular kind of a defilement. So our own understanding of defilements using our own mind helps to understand someone else's defilement as well. Then you can easily understand, okay, he is now in a bad mood, he is now in a little aggressive situation, he is now angry, but he is now going through a little bit of attachment, he is now going through a little bit of conceit, he is operating based on conceit, or he is simply trying to deceive me, trying to cheat me. So you can see, you can actually, very much like you are reading someone else's mind, because you have read your own mind. You understood your own mind, how certain defilements are operating depending on the situation. And when someone else also in the same situation, there's a higher probability for those defilements to arise in his mind, in that particular person's mind. So therefore, it's very much like we are dealing with defilements. It is not really the persons, like I am here, you are there. Very much like here certain defilements are operating, and there also certain defilements are operating. So defilements are taking those minds under their captivity. So those minds are under the influence of the defilements. That's why they are working like that. So if we are able to look at it in that angle, then in a way we can sympathize, we can forgive. It is not a particular person doing something wrong, but he is a victim of the defilements. So he is under the influence of those defilements. That is why he is behaving like this. So if we can get that kind of a perspective, if we can get that kind of a picture, then it is more accurate, and it helps to relax, remove all the kind of conflicts. Then we are looking at in a different angle, more closer to the vipassana, more closer to the reality. Then it's a way that we can overcome various conflicts and fights and all these arguments. With that note, I like to conclude today's Sutta teaching session. Now I'd like to open the session for questions.
If we have any new participants joining us for the first time today, you can raise your hand to ask questions, or you can also send them via the chat.
Venerable Dhammavijita, you have any questions?
Yes, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante, for the teaching. I'm not sure particularly. One thing was not a question, but I had a couple of different things to mention, but this is sort of a question. It's to you, Bhante, it seems to me, and I'll just make a statement, it seems that the interview process, kamatan, that we do with our Vipassana meditation, it's a great way to confront the students' self-views, such as conceit, deception, and so forth. And I just wondered your comment on that, on how that can be helpful in seeing one's defilements, especially for the student to be able to understand, when he's having problems with some of these things.
Yeah. So basically, yes, as correct. So basically, if we are honest, if we are ready to reveal ourselves, if you are ready to open up ourselves, then during the interview process, you can honestly explain, okay, Bhante, these are the defilements I am going through, these are the questions I am going through, this is how my mind operating. On yesterday night, how I had this kind of a defilement. I tried to overcome that. So these are the ways and means I used to overcome that. Maybe I was successful, but no, I was not successful. So likewise, you can explain your whole situation to the teacher. So that is a very honest and kind of open character, where you are not hiding anything, but you are showing your true nature, exposing your true nature to the teacher. So teacher also not misusing you or misusing your situation. Rather, he is quite compassionate about the situation, and he maybe can understand your situation very well, and probably he can give a good solution or kind of suggest kind of a method to overcome that particular defilement or to overcome that particular situation. So I think, therefore, as you said, the interview process, kammatthana interview process, is a good opportunity for us to expose ourselves, to reveal our problems, and expose what are the defilements currently I am being afflicted, I am being confronted. So that is actually helps. So that is where we admit, okay, I am not a saint, I am not an arahant, still I am going through all these troubles. So these ups and downs are there in my life. So then it is very much like you are become very, very innocent, or how to say, you are become true, honest kind of person, and again you have the more motivation, you have the ambition to correct yourself, isn't it? I mean, exposing your defilements is not only simply you expose, but you have the inclination that you need to correct yourself. That's why you are exposing, that you recognize it as a defilement rather than being a victim of that. You are telling, okay, I have these problems, I have these troubles, these drawbacks. So that indicates that you are expecting something better. You expect some more purified mind, but at the moment it is not yet purified. So likewise, Buddha mentioned, I mean, if you ever want to overcome a particular defilement, so definitely you need to look at it, you need to recognize it. Then only you are capable of removing it, not otherwise. In Sabbasava Sutta, Buddha mentioned, Janato bhikkhave passato asavanam khayang vadami no ajanato no apassato. Monks, only for the person who know, only for the person who see, I declare a purification is possible. Not for the person who doesn't know and doesn't see. So therefore, recognizing a particular defilement as a defilement is one of the key points in one's practice. And again, that is one of the quality of the Buddha's teaching, where he say his teaching is immediate. Kind of immediacy is there in his teaching. It's not that you are practicing today and getting the benefits tomorrow. Rather, whenever you understand currently, what is the state of my mind? Currently, if the mind is affected with the anger, so at that very moment you recognize, okay, now the mind is affected with anger, and now as a result of that you step back and take whatever the proper action to overcome that, now the anger has gone. So Nibbana is there. It is not that you attain Nibbana tomorrow. Rather, you overcome that defilement at that very point, at that very moment, and now his mind is no more burning with anger. Rather, it is again has become calm, relaxed. Probably you can rest in the unattached state of mind. That's the most, best thing one can do. So likewise, so recognizing defilement and overcoming them at that very moment is therefore quite encouraged and quite necessary in a way. Yeah.
Ante, thank you. That got onto one of the subjects that I was interested in, and is this not knowing. So we're often angry, but we don't even realize that.
Exactly.
And for instance, Americans, especially white Americans, grow up with a certain privilege and entitlement, and they don't even realize that they're being privileged or entitled, and they just begin to expect it from a young age. So they can be very conceited in that way, but it's at a subconscious level. So I found that the meditation practice for me has been good for bringing these subconscious defilements to light, because it's often our thinking, I found, that is suggestive of what our defilement is. If you can notice that your thoughts are often, going towards sort of resentment of others, and you can say, so you can actually finally identify it by seeing your own thoughts, and that's possible when you're meditating. The comment, so that was one thing that's really interesting about psychological sort of problems that are treated in like psychoanalysis. The person doesn't realize that they're actually deceiving themselves. So that's something to be aware of, that even when even if someone becomes a meditator, they can still continue the self-deception. And because these sorts of self-views are very deeply rooted.
Exactly.
And that's why psychoanalysis is such a important thing for people, because it helps them begin to uproot their views. But and the thing I was getting at about like interviews is that I noticed that not bringing up specific defilements with the teacher, but just to try to give a report based on what happened, in Vipassana we're reporting, just what happened, not any interpretation or anything.
Yeah.
But I noticed early on when I was doing reports that I was trying to impress others, or wanting, like with a good intention, wanting to do well, like, that it's good to calm down, so, taking any sign of calming down as being, almost like enlightenment or something, or, it's just like this eagerness to do well, and in your reporting it can come out as not exactly what happened, but kind of more like you're reading into it, trying to do well, or trying to look good, or trying to get better. And so, but that sort of deception can come out in interviews in that way. That's what I was more referring to, is like how we notice. I found that reporting has given me a good way of seeing how to just say exactly what happened without adding any of my own self-interest into it. So that's
good. Yeah, correct. Yeah, very correct. So as you mentioned, so depending on our culture, depending on our upbringing, so certain defilements can be deeply rooted in ourselves, and we even not notice that.
Yes.
So certain defilements have become part of our culture. So part of our tradition, part of our, say, education even. So certain education, say they promote, okay, you have to behave like this, you have to behave like that. So, but they are not, they sometimes help to develop certain kind of a conceit in ourselves. Now, personality view is something highly encouraged in kind of societies where you are promoted as an individual, isn't it? In US particularly, say they promote the personality view. Okay, you are an individual. You are quite important person, and you are so and so. So various titles are given to us. So likewise, so this all helps to develop certain defilements in ourselves. So when you become so mindful and when you become more and more kind of introvert, you are doing introspection quite often, then only you understand, okay, this is a defilement, this is something conditioned in the mind. So my mind is, in a way, sometimes it goes to a very innocent, unbiased, relaxed kind of a state, but later, due to some reason, it become conceited, it become colored, it become conditioned. So likewise, you later understand, okay, this is a kind of a conditioning process, came through my education, came through my culture, came through my upbringing. So likewise, so we can understand those influences came through our environment where we have grown, from our culture, from our tradition. So then actually it is very much like de-learning process. In Vipassana, it's a de-learning process where we are trying to let go of all these learnings, all these learning processes. So our minds have become very much conditioned due to various causes and conditions, various reasons. So understanding that and keeping the mind very relaxed, keeping the mind unconditioned. Say for example, common example I give is very much like our mind is very much like a pure water when it is kind of an arahant mind. But before that, we always adding something to that. Either we add particular color to that, so it become a little colorful water. We add sugar or something to that, so it become tasty. So we add it to orange or something, it becomes sour. And we add kind of say lemon or something, then it become again a different taste. So we are not keeping water as water. So, but the true nature of water is simply the water. It's colorless in a way and tasteless, we can say. But we don't keep it like that. So we keep on adding this and that. So our minds are also like that. Where we were, how our upbringing, how our education, how our parents taught us, how our teachers taught us, how our society influenced us. So all these are very much like deeply rooted in our minds, and now it has become, now that is the current situation of the mind. It has many causes taken it to this level. Now we need to see, okay, what are these causes may be harmful to me, causing a lot of defilements, causing all these imperfections. So likewise, it's very much like unentangling the situation. Currently our mind is entangled with so many of these various influences. Now we are trying to unentangle and ultimately make it unconditioned, completely unconditioned. So Nibbana is called as unconditioned, where you are coming to the true nature, the very default nature. You are coming to, we are trying to promote that true nature, the water type of nature, where you have some flexibility, you are pure, clear, transparent. So likewise, so the mind also we can, as a result of all these supportive conditions, we can take to that level. So that is the teaching of the Buddha, how using samatha practice, how using vipassana practice, how using morality, how using the discussions, how using the, say, sutta, what you call the knowledge. There are 5 supporting conditions in certain suttas. Buddha mentioned in the Anuggahita Sutta, Sila Anuggahita, Sutta Anuggahita, Sakacca Anuggahita, and then the Samatha Anuggahita and Vipassana Anuggahita. So these are the 5 supporting conditions using which we can make the mind purified. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Interesting,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. We can go to the other question, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. I'd like to invite Chitta Devi for the next question.
Thank you, Jennifer. Actually, Bhante, in your discussion, you kind of touched on it, but what I really wanted to say was that all these numerous defilements that you brought out, and then ultimately you went on to say about mana and asmimana, where that is only lossless and the arahathood. But what I like to comment is, and I like your view, is that it is every single defilement, as you said, there are cultural aspects and personalities and all that, but ultimately it's all because there is the bigger the self, the bigger these defilements stand out. Isn't that right, Bhante?
Correct, very correct, yes. Now actually that is where even the conceit can lead to other defilements. Say if you have a lot of conceit, you can easily get arrogant, you can easily become say envious, you can easily become angry with another person, because the conceit can lead to other defilements as well.
And the only way to get rid of these defilements is really to do the vipassana and to actually see that there is no self. I mean, that of course is what we are trying to do, and we are losing it little by little.
Yeah.
So as this process goes on, then we drop some of these defilements on the way, and of course, when we perfect the art of anatta, then only we can get rid of all the defilements. Isn't that right, Bhante?
Correct. Yes. So it's a kind of a progressive or step-by-step process where say you are able to drop 3 defilements, what we are calling them as fetters, sangyojanas, when one attains the sotapanna, and another 2, one is very much like weakening when one attains sakadagami, and that 2 also overcome completely when one attains anagami. Then altogether 5 fetters are completely uprooted, but another 5 is remaining, and that is only overcome when one becomes an arahant. Now here in this sutta, so a different way of presentation is available, where you are overcoming certain defilements, say what we discussed, makka, palasa, issa, machariya, maya, sateya. Makka, palasa means contempt and insolence. Then palas, then issa, machariya, the jealousy and the avarice. Then maya, sateya, the deceit and fraud. So those are the defilements uprooted when one becomes an sotapanna. So I mean, we can see, so as you said, so sakkaya ditthi, personality view, is one of the strong defilements. So it has a considerable impact on these defilements. So say
because anyway, Bhante, sotapanna still has kama and raga, no?
Yeah.
Kama and vyapada.
Yes.
So he or she may be having some of those in a subtle way, but still having those things, no?
Yes. And the other thing is,
so they're not pure, no, Bhante?
Yeah. Now, interesting thing is, now when one attains sotapanna, he not only overcome personality view, but certain other 6 defilements listed in this sutta, in this Vatthupama sutta. Sometimes we are not much familiar with these defilements. We don't even know that they are being uprooted when one become a sotapanna. Say for example, makka and palasa. So that is where say you are not appreciating someone else's help, and you are even looking down, devaluing someone else's help or support, and maybe looking down someone else's good qualities. So these are the makka and palasa. So if one attains sotapanna, the opposite has to happen in his mind. So that means he start appreciating someone else's even a little help, and he has kind of a lot of gratitude in his mind. Maybe start appreciating someone else's good qualities. So likewise, it's a kind of a very positive human good qualities that we are talking in that level.
Yes, Bhante. Yes. So it's a matter of a gradual process which we are as we are doing this with meditation and contemplation as well. We will surely, I mean, and also as you said about depending on your culture and your environment and background and your profession or whatever where you think, you will start losing these things.
Yeah, correct. And not only that, and further we are developing we are also developing some positive qualities also, no? Now, say when you are developing loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, equanimity, so those also promote the positive side. So instead of you being envy, you being angry, you being set of resentment, now you instead develop compassion, you develop loving kindness. So the opposite good qualities are also being developed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when those good qualities are being developed, these other qualities gradually fade away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that right, Bhakti?
Yeah,
so
correct.
It's a combination of many things to get rid of these things.
Yes.
It's not only meditation and doing vipassana and contemplating, but it's also, as you said, developing the good qualities.
Yes.
And gradually erasing these other negative things.
Yes. Now, if we are not developing good qualities but only trying to uproot the defilements through meditation, so that may be also possible, but it may take. You are not using. It may be slower because the positive force, positive strength that we can take from the purposeful development of, say, Brahma Viharas, we are not making use.
Yes.
So if we are,
but though these are
yes,
Bhante.
So there, as you said, so there are many methods. So there are many supportive approaches available. So the more we use all these different supportive approaches, the quicker or the easier would be the achievement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not. It's not that difficult. It's Bhante.
Yeah, if you are aware of all these things, so how our mind get defiled? So what are these defilements, and what are their dangers, and how are we going to overcome them? What are the positive qualities, and what are the ways and means to develop those positive qualities? And likewise, if we have a better understanding about the whole situation. And that is why the Sila Samadhi Panya is a kind of the Noble Eightfold Path is providing a fairly comprehensive overall type of a holistic kind of a solution. So then actually we have a better opportunity to develop.
Yes, because everybody has this, as you said, the clear water in them, the super good qualities. It's only, I think in some place you said, or I heard, you just remove the sediments on top to be able to see the clear water. Isn't that right, Bhante?
Yeah, that is also to some extent right. Yesterday actually we had a very, very interesting discussion in the Concept and Reality book. So most venerable Katukurunde Jnanananda Mahathero highlighted a very interesting point. So he highlighted a very interesting point. So if we think that our original mind is pure, then we are getting to some sort of a sassata ditti. That means a kind of eternality view that we think, we had a very original mind which is pure, and later it become defiled, and now we again remove the defilements, and again it comes to that original nature. So that is not the model that we need to really appreciate. Rather, we need to understand already the mind is defiled. There was no time that we can say it was undefiled. So there is a very interesting statement by the Buddha where he mentioned anavaraggayam bhikkhave or something like that, where you can't recognize where the ignorance being cultivated, where the ignorance is introduced to the mind. It is for long time it is there. Ignorance and tanha, craving is long time it is there. So there is no a kind of a particular period that we can say it was not there. Now the situation is, so we admit, okay, the mind is defiled. So mind is under the influence of all these defilements, ignorance, conceit and all these things. And later, now we are developing the necessary conditions, causes to remove those defilements, and as a result of that process, a new state is arising, that is the purified state, pure mind. So the pure mind is not something originally available, rather we can say pure mind is something which was produced as a result of all these different supports, all these different cultivations.
But what is important is that the mind has the ability,
potential. The mind has the potential to become pure when all these necessary conditions are being given.
And everybody can attain that.
Exactly.
If everybody realizes this, that there is that pure mind that can be attained. Then you can move forward.
Exactly. So that very potential is there. So a very interesting simile he has given. Now if we consider a lotus, if we are considering a lotus, the lotus flower, so we can't say the lotus seed has the lotus flower, but we can say lotus seed has the potential to produce a lotus flower.
Exactly.
So in order for the lotus seed to produce a lotus flower, now we need to provide the necessary conditions, maybe the fertilizer, maybe the water, maybe the sunshine, whatever, all these different necessary conditions now we are providing to that. Later it may produce the lotus flower. So lotus flower is a result in a way. So our mind is also like that. So our mind has the potential to become pure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Bhante. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, I think there are no more questions. Shall we wind up the session?
Yes, sure, Bhante.
Yeah, okay. So today also we have spent about 1 hour and 15 minutes in this discussion. The merits that we have accrued this far, we'll share with all the passed away beings, passed away relatives, and all the celestial beings and whoever in need of merits. We wish these merits help us also to attain path, fruition, nibbana. While keeping these good wishes in our mind, let's recite the traditional verses. Ettavata hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idam vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Ñātīnaṁ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Idam vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukitā huntu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.